So good afternoon to all of you. And so first of all, I think it's revealing for me every time I come into a digital marketing conference like this. Because I think, I was just telling Ram that we need to probably have this conference every 3 months. Because things are moving at such a fast pace. And I think you've already heard the panel talk so many times about the world, technology, and consumers changing much faster than a marketer. And that can't be truer than this. So let me start with a bunch of confessions. I stayed away from the digital media for a very long time. Till 2 years back, I got a kick on my butt from attending one of the digital strategy meetings of my organization, and just saw what I was missing out on all the time. Not because I had any aversion to adopting it, but simply because I was so grounded in what I had started my career with. So I started my career with Hindustan Levers, and my thought a lot was around traditional modes of marketing. While my own organization, SAP, has moved significantly ahead in terms of what we do on the social space, what we do on the cloud computing, and these have become the platforms on which we work. So 2 years back, I started on my digital journey, and I'm here to share certain perspectives of this one journey. And the cloud has been a very, very important part of that journey. So first, I think I'd like to start off from where Shiv left off. I don't know how many of you had an opportunity to attend the keynote this morning by Shiv. He's my mentor. We worked together, and again, we started our careers with Hindustan Levers. And there was one incident which I'm reminded of. FM radio was coming in a big way into India. But the big challenge was, being levers, there was a lot of pressure on being able to measure whatever is the impact of whatever you're trying to do. I think which is a very fair expectation that you have from your marketing spend from an ROI perspective. But I remember it was Shiv who said that by the time we measure how effective it is and how many people are actually listening to the radio and the impact of radio on marketing, blah, 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 it will just be too late. The medium would have become too expensive, it would have got highly disbursed, and we would have lost the way. So let's start with these experiments. Of course, he had very few takers then, but he did it for his business, and I think it did a lot of good for the brand. So that lesson somehow stayed on with me, saying that I think marketers have to be media and medium agnostic. So let me start with what my own understanding of what marketers can do on the cloud can be. Let me start with some branding motherhoods, right? So I was just thinking that now that we have said that we are agnostic to the medium or the platform actually does not matter, what is it that I will still like to achieve? Whether it is mobile, whether it is the cloud or the rain or the fog or whatever, what is it that I would always like to achieve? And as a marketer, let me tell you, my focus is on these aspects. The medium can change, will change, and one has to keep on adapting. But this is what, as a marketer, I've always tried to do with my brand. Number one is ubiquity. I just have to be present in all the relevant medium, in all possible manners. That has not changed for me. Second thing is I need to be refreshed. The brand simply has to be refreshed over a period of time. So there was a famous author who was asking me that I met him recently, and he said, look, what happens if my books are not available in an ebook format? I said, look, you still are a great author, so people will continue to figure out a way of reading your books. But if it's not available in an ebook, the chances are that 20 years down the line, your book might not actually exist in any format, except in a museum. Now, but I don't like my book being in an ebook format. So I said, look, that's your choice. Because I think the fact that you write very well does not change. You're still a great author. It is just available in a new medium. So I think refreshing the medium just helps you to be available in a much more affordable, much more available format. And lastly, I think I'm always trying to restate the value equation in the mind of my consumers. Value defined as benefits by cost is our favorite equation for marketers. We're always trying to see how we change that, right? If you look at cloud as a platform, as a technology, as a computing phenomenon, has been able to assure these three things very well. Yes, it has taken a few years to stabilize, but I think from then on it's moved, and then it has become a medium which offers ubiquity, which is your brand is present in more places, and it's refreshed because, again, as we were looking at the statistics with respect to the mobile platform, I think cloud is equally refreshed, and it's dramatically changing the value equation, which is what we have realized in our organization as well. Why? Because it makes the same technology available at a minuscule cost, right? So people, there was a time when SMEs never talked to SAP and SAP never talked to the SMEs because we knew that we would not be able to reach them in a meaningful format. But today that's dramatically changed with a new offering. Now if that can change, we've actually gone and hit a totally new set of customers all over the place, right? And that is what I think any offering on the cloud can do. So if you look at these three aspects, I think the cloud has dramatically altered all three of them. And as a marketer, I will not like to stay away from that for too long. Cloud offerings definitely are evolving, and what we see now today is that it's become very real time. And it's become very relevant and incisive. The platforms, because of their evolution, the latest products which are coming up, the latest platforms which are coming up, are ensuring that they are technologically advanced, more advanced than the traditional formats. So let me qualify by what I say. If you look at the basic business analytics platforms which are available, the versions for the cloud and the mobile platforms are significantly more evolved than what the traditional platforms were, probably which was meant more for the laptop or the desktop. That means if you actually accessing a product on the cloud to understand your product, to understand consumers, that will be significantly more evolved, simply because cloud is a more advanced technology. The second thing is it's more incisive, and I'll delve on it a little later as I talk about how it's interfacing with the social media. I was speaking to an insurance agent recently, not for my personal use, but we were doing a dipstick about how they use products and how we can make it available. So he showed me a product which is so simple. What happens when insurance agents go and talk to consumers is they're asked questions on the fly. So they have a sales pitch, they have their sales talk, they know they have brochures, they have information that's available, but suddenly somebody throws in, and this is not specific to insurance agent, a salesperson can get any question from anywhere, especially relating to competition intelligence, for instance, which they may not have access to. And customers are some of them can be really tricky because they throw in some data even when that's actually not true, just to see how the salesperson is reacting, right? So they have an online real-time battle card which is available. Now, I'm sure all of us know what a battle card is, but at a very simple level, what it tells you is how does your product stack with respect to competition. And they've got a battle card, so he gets all the data real time. So as the customer is talking, he's able to access that piece of data and say, look, how does my product compete with the competition? And what is it that I'm supposed to speak now? Now there is somebody sitting over there, not on a call center because you can't start dialing numbers in front of a customer, but he gives you data on real time. Now all this is available on the cloud, and that's making a big difference because they figured out that if they have to have the system available on a traditional server and on a traditional platform, this will cost them 20 times more. And they have 500 agents all over the country. So how do they actually make it possible for that data to be available at that kind of a cost? Now this is where I sort of tie back to my previous point, which is that this particular product which has been developed on the cloud actually helps them do it much faster at a lower cost and this is also amenable to other platforms like mobile platforms. Why? Because somebody who's developing products today is well aware about how powerful these other platforms are. Traditionally, it was not the way companies developed their product. SAP did not think about the mobile and the cloud platform 10 years before. But today, the golden mantra within most organizations, I was speaking to people from IBM and the other places, everywhere, the diktat is very clear, that think mobile first, think cloud first. So these are something which help people to evolve products much better. There is definitely better engagement. You know, recently I was in the US, and I was speaking to somebody who does a lot of work for Coca-Cola, and they showed me a beautiful mobile platform which helps him to keep track of their 100,000 odd salespeople who are, you know, running around the length and breadth of the country. And again, this is available on the cloud at a very, very low cost and at very good, very good value. Similarly, IBM, Virginia was telling me, uses this very well to do a lot of internal communication, because at any given point in time, I think what the cloud offerings or the products available on the cloud have started helping us is not just looking at the different social media tools, but also helping us get a cross connect between all of that, and then doing what we are calling it amplifying passion, right? So if your product is about product evangelism as a marketing tool, I think you need something which will help you to amplify passion, not just give you just the basic analytics. I think I heard the previous panel just saying that, you know, the core job of marketing is not scientific and, you know, mathematical analysis alone, but going significantly beyond that and trying to develop a consumer insight. Now, how is that going to happen if you know, we are not able to marry all these things? I recently saw a beautiful product which helps people to beautifully track the same customer with a set of experiences, and all that again available on the cloud. SAP is using, and I'm sure many other companies are using this too, it's fairly evolved, when they're trying to get a lot of people together. Now this is where the catch is. Whenever you're trying to integrate I'm just taking a step back and getting into a large IT organization like us, we find it a big challenge to marry internal and external data. It's a challenge because there are still a lot of concerns about security. And that helps us, and that sort of severely, not helps, I'm sorry, it severely impedes us, because we are not able to use the big data that we have with the external world. Now somewhere, why is this coming? Because I think somewhere there we always believe that we have the best access to enterprise data, which is not true, because our systems did not speak to the social media, for example. And if you want to overcome this, there are huge concerns about how are we able to beat the firewall? The cloud platforms, many of them help you to overcome this barrier, where you are able to circumvent the firewall and help your data interface with the real-time data which is coming from the external world. Okay? And if you're looking at crowdsourcing for ideas, helping people collaborate on the, virtually from anywhere and everywhere, I think this is the place to be. We have an initiative, and others would have it too, called co-creation. It's an innovation lab, co-innovation lab that we have. And if you look at what we're trying to do with this, we're trying to get a lot of people ideate on common platforms. And the cloud is really helping us, because that platform is available for a lot of people to be able to take this and collaborate with us real time. So the barriers have really broken down. We're getting ideas from sources that we never thought within the country and outside. And again, all this happening at a very, very affordable price for everybody to be actually there. So what do I see next? I think what I see next is making decisions real time, going one step ahead and being able to make that decision. I think we saw the thought about the impatience which is there in the audience, not just amongst the younger generation, but about about everybody else, but making that decision real time. Cloud platforms allow you to do that much better than the other, the other traditional platforms. And from a consumer perspective, there's a big movement. I see this happening. I think a lot of this is moving from being engagement-driven to experiential-driven to what's being called personal fulfillment, right? Where thoughts like there was something called vendor management platforms, where it's the other way of looking at a CRM, right? Here, where the seller is trying to find out what the consumer is doing, but a vendor management platform is the next thing where you are able to track your vendors and think what are they doing on the virtual world, and being able to profile them. So this is a stage. I recently read a beautiful report on this, about how this is moving from just being engagement where you say you keep giving communication about your brand to the customers, to making it experiential where you get people into a virtual world or a real world and let them experience the brand, and lastly moving that to personal fulfillment. I think we're seeing the first change already happening, and this is the next big thing that I see as a marketer. I think the call to action is very clear. I would urge everybody to embrace the cloud. I just spoke about the low-cost experiments that one should be running. And I know marketers have a challenge here because, again, there are a lot of concerns about what is the ROI, which is perfectly understandable. But what I would strongly urge marketers is to park one bit of your marketing budget to run these low-cost experiments. Because you may not have another chance to run that low-cost experiment going forward if you don't have perspectives. We've done a few experiments within SAP about a lot of these things, and what we say is that, look, park, the thumb rule in the corporate is park about 10% of your marketing budget on low-cost experiments. Get the first wins in. If you feel good about it, go ahead and do it, right? But for that, you have to develop your hypothesis. You should have tried it out, hopefully experience some great wins, and then spread it across the organization. And there's a call to inaction. And that's my last slide before I invite my co-speaker, Shabir. There's a call for inaction, which is marketers don't learn technology. Now, this is the most career-limiting statement I can ever make. And except for one colleague of mine, there's nobody else from SAP. But that's my strong view. Because as marketers, I think we have to focus on what is fundamental to us, right? Today it's the mobile, yesterday it was the print, day before yesterday it was television, then it was the cloud, and tomorrow it could be fog or the rain or whatever else. But whatever that is, I think the focus has to be clear. Because what I see, and it happens to me all the time, if somebody starts describing a technology piece, I get so carried away by that for 6 days I can't sleep. I say, oh wow, I go to the net, surf, then get people to start doing demos, and somewhere they lose track of what is happening and what am I supposed to do from that. So somewhere there, while one needs to definitely understand the power that technology can give you, I think one should remain away from getting too involved, because it is somebody else's domain. I think you let them do their work and do your work, which is about understanding consumers, getting their insights, and helping company develop products. So yes, I mean, fantastic conference. Be nice to be a part of this, but I still don't want to be carried away over a period of time about what's happening around me. Just a few miscellaneous points. I just picked it up from what the previous panel was saying. I think when you're looking at the Indian market, right, things are evolving much faster in India than in other parts of the world. And I'm absolutely convinced about it. And if you're working for a global setup and a global organization, there is bound to be a kind of a very heterogeneous understanding and take on how things should be done. So my fundamental request to everybody here is that somebody needs to explain that to their colleagues and their partners across the world. Because last evening we were having a conversation with our counterparts in the world. And there's a global team which was telling us that on a social media platform, which we are driving for an event, for a forthcoming event, the frequency of update should be once in 2 weeks. I said, look, people will forget who you are in 2 weeks' time. But this, this is a global best practice. I said, thank you for that, but that's not the way things are in India. Things definitely are moving at a phenomenally different pace than other parts. So there has to be an India angle if you're looking at the Indian market that is there. So I think in times which are not really that great economically, where people are under a lot of stress, the digital marketing platforms available on the cloud could be a great answer to value for money. I think the concerns on security are more or less gone. Yes, there are a few which I think will get addressed over a period of time. We are seeing a big traction amongst people who are wanting to get onto ERP on the cloud, for instance, and marketers would not be any different from that. That would be my guess.